Okay, boys and girls, good morning. This is our first flipped classroom lesson, and I'm pretty excited about it. So here we are. You're watching a video that I'm putting together, and it is on text structure. But before you start, I want to remind you of some of the things we talked about in class. This is a video. You are working at your own pace. You can stop it. You could pause it. You could rewind it as you need to. If you want to hear something again, if you don't understand something, if you want to reread something. This is your own lesson. You're learning at your own pace. So feel free to do those kind of things if you need to. But we're starting here on text structure. Now, I know that you have learned about text structure. Whether you're in the 5th grade or the 6th grade, you have learned about it before. Here we are in summer reading clinic, and we're going to revisit all the different text structures that you've learned in the past, because knowing the text structure makes you better writers and makes you better readers. So the key word here is structure. So let's look on here. Structure. When we see text structure, let's just pay attention to the word structure itself. Usually structure refers to a building or a framework. So you look at these two pictures. We have two structures here. Very similar in the sense that they're designed for people to be in them. But they're built very differently. They're structured very differently. You have a thatched hut. A thatched hut you're going to find somewhere where the climate is warm. You're not going to need heat. You're not going to need a lot of things in a climate where a thatched hut would work. On the other hand, you've got a stone building, which the stone building is something that is really going to protect you from cold and nasty weather. So you've got two structures here built very, very differently. That is how it works with writing. What you want to do is think of the word structure, the way something is built. You have the word text in front of it. Together, text structure refers to how a piece of text is built. And you may not realize it, but a lot of text is built differently depending on what the purpose is. What we're going to do is try to figure out what that means. We have builders that build different kind of structures for different things. For example, we looked at the thatched hut, we looked at the stone building. You also have skyscrapers. You're going to build a skyscraper much differently than you're going to build a house. Simply because there are different purposes. There are different environments and different purposes. So what does that mean to us in the classroom? Well, it means that writers use different structures to build their ideas. It means that each text structure communicates ideas and information in a different way. What does that mean to us when it comes to this class? Well, it means that there are several different ways that you structure a text. So let's get into the actual structure piece. We're not going to go over all these pieces today, but we're going to just list them right now. We have chronological and sequence, comparing and contrasting, cause and effect, problem and solution, and lastly, we have description or descriptive writing. Each one of these structures is used for a different reason. What we're going to cover today are two of the structures. We're going to start with chronological sequence, or what we hear most commonly as chronological order. Authors use chronological order to explain how things happen in order. Some synonyms that you need to be aware of are sequence and time order. Very frequently you'll hear these things used in the same way. So if somebody says to you, write this in chronological order, they also might say, put this in sequence. It means the same thing. Put it in the order that it occurred, or time order. So these three things are very much the same. So let's look at the picture. We got a cool frog here. Let's look at the frog. Your first assignment, what I want you to do in the packet that I've given you, is answer this question. Why might an author use chronological order to write about this frog? Think about that. Why would an author use chronological order to give you information about this frog. What I want you to do in your packet is or actually what you're going to do is you'll pause, because this is the point where you need to pause this video, and I want you to write in your packet answer the first question. And the first question again is, why might an author use chronological order to write about this frog? Please remember to restate or rephrase the question, write in complete sentences, use capitals at the beginning of sentences and where necessary. You are in the 5th and 6th grade, and that's how I expect you to answer these questions with that knowledge. You may pause and continue when you're done. We'll go over this in group. Okay, chronological order. So you will know that you're reading a text in chronological order because you will see words like this: first, next, later, then, finally. Chronological order has words that clue you in, tells you what order you are going in. You will often see chronological order when you're reading directions. And here's an example. Let's read this together. Have you ever made macaroni and cheese? It's simple. First, boil some water and make some macaroni. Then make your cheese sauce. After the cheese sauce is ready, mix it with the macaroni. Bake the entire thing in the oven. Finally, it's time to eat. So, what are the clue words in this paragraph? I'd like you to reread it again, and then tell me what you think the key words are. Give yourself a minute to reread it. Okay, let's go to the next slide and see if you were right. Have you ever made macaroni and cheese? It's simple. First clue word here was first. First, boil some water and make some macaroni. Then, make your cheese sauce. After the cheese sauce is ready, mix it with the macaroni. Bake the entire thing in the oven. Finally, it's time to eat. You see the key words? They clued us in. First, then, after, finally. You're going to find these clue words that constantly help you to figure out what order or what text structure is being used. Every text structure does have keywords. For chronological order or sequence or time order, these are just a few words that help you to figure that out. Until, before, after, finally, lastly, first, last, now, then. On, and for the date we could say on July 8th, 2014 we started summer school. Or at, we could say at 10 o'clock we are having a bathroom break. So those kind of clues are helpful. First, second, meanwhile, not long after, initially. Can you think of some others? I'd like you to jot down at least 5 clue words or keywords that will clue you in to chronological order. Do that now in your packet. You may pause this video, and then when you're done, you can go to the next slide, or you can just hit play. Okay. I've got 2 paragraphs here. Which paragraph is in chronological order? I would like you to read both of them. I'm going to wait and let you read quietly to yourself, or actually you can pause and read them, and then when you decide, we'll move on. So pause the video now, and we'll move on when you're done. Okay. If you guessed that this paragraph is in chronological order, through the ages, Pennsylvania has seen many interesting events, you were correct. And let's see why. We're going to go to the next slide and look at the key words that helped us figure that out. Through the ages, Pennsylvania has seen many interesting events. The state was founded in 1681 by William Penn. Later, Pennsylvania was the site of important Revolutionary War battles. After that, Pennsylvania was home to new factories during the Industrial Revolution. Today, Pennsylvania continues to make history. Lots of key words here that tell us chronological order. If we go back to the other, we see no keywords here. Pennsylvania has many historic sites. You can visit Revolutionary War sites like Valley Forge. You can also visit important locations from the Civil War, like Gettysburg. Finally, you can also see the site of the first well in Titusville. Pennsylvania has many neat places. Now, if you got confused because you saw the word finally here, think about that. Finally is just sort of the way that this piece of information is ending. It's not really a finally that works with chronological order. So you need to know that when you sometimes don't just look for one or two words and say, oh, that automatically makes it chronological. You do need to read the text to figure it out. We'll move on here. Okay, so think about it. What is text structure? What does chronological order mean? And what are some clue words that show chronological order? I'm going to ask you to pause it now, pause the video now, and answer these questions in your packet. Again, complete sentences, rephrase what you're being asked, make sure everything works, and then when you are done, you can continue this video. Okay, are you ready for more? Yay, there's more. Who's excited? We've got more kinds of text structure to talk about, because what if an author doesn't want to show that something's happened in sequence? That author would need to use another structured text. So the next one we're going to talk about is comparing and contrasting. Now, I know that you know comparing and contrasting because, well, I teach. I know that teachers ask you to do this. It's an important skill to have, to be able to compare and contrast something. So let's look at these two pictures. Suppose an author wanted to explain how these two birds are similar and how they are different. The author would need to use compare and contrast, that text structure. Okay, so what does that mean? I don't know. Let's read first. The cardinal and the goldfinch are two common birds. Both are brightly colored. Both are common at bird feeders. But the birds have some differences. The male cardinal is a bright red, while the male goldfinch is yellow. Cardinals like shrubs and trees, while goldfinches prefer open meadows. When authors use the text structure of compare and contrast, they often use special clue words to show it. Let's think about that paragraph that we just read. Can you find the clue words in the paragraph? Let's go back. I see lots of clue words. I'm wondering if you came up with the same clue words. Let's go and look at the clue words. There they are. Both, but, while. We are using while to compare. We're using both to look at the similarities. Both are brightly colored. Both are common at bird feeders. But, oh wait a second, there's a difference. But the birds have some differences. The male cardinal is a bright red, while the male goldfinch is yellow. So we're looking at the colors of each. One is red, while the other is yellow. Now we're looking at different things that they like. Cardinals like shrubs and trees, while goldfinches prefer open meadows. So here are keywords that help us with the compare and contrast text structure. Okay, how many of you have seen a Venn diagram before? And you know that this is a very big tool that you could use for comparing